1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah! Hello, what's happening? William Johnson here, and this is another percussion tutorial. In this lesson, I'm going to go take a step back and talk about some basic music theory. I've been getting questions and inquiries about, as it pertains to rhythm and basic music theory, Western music theory. There are many traditions and ways of talking about music, describing music, annotating, writing music down, and I'm going to use a Western style, some traditional, some formula, some formal, and some not formal. Okay, so if you're a stickler for tradition, this is probably not the video for you. But I've been getting questions, and I want to go back and talk about some basic music theory. And what I was just doing there was playing on the shaker and the kashishi. I was also counting in four. I was playing in 4/4. So I want to talk about time signatures and what that actually means, and how to write or to count and to conceptualize, to think about what time signature actually is, and just talk about some basic music theory for my fellow percussionists out there who may not be initiated in basic music theory or music theory, whatever. All right, let's get into it. So we're going old school with the board here and the marker, dry erase marker. I don't know, I could have done all of this digital, but I thought it was just gonna be easier to just sit here and write it out because I didn't want to do all the editing with the digital stuff. And plus, I like going old school. I like having the marker in my hand as I explain and walk with you through this tutorial. Now, for some of you, you may already know this, and for whatever your reason you're watching this, maybe it's entertaining to you. I don't know. Perhaps it's a review. Perhaps you've never gone over any music theory and you're just, you're curious, or you want to strengthen your skill set and your ability to improvise and to intentionally know what it is that you're playing. When you want to move from just feeling the rhythm, especially something that's unfamiliar or uncomfortable, you're new with, understanding some basic music theory will really help you to improve your ability in that context. All right, time signature. Everything we're doing is in time. Right now I'm talking in a certain cadence. Some of my words are faster, some are slower, but guess what? I'm doing it all in the constraints, the construct of a time, the constraints of a certain amount of time. So if the song is in, let's say, 3 minutes, all right, you can look at the big picture, the whole 3 minutes, or you can look at different categories within the song, okay? And those little categories can be called measures or bars. So I'm drawing bar lines, all right? And sometimes we call the space in between these bars as a measure, or just bars. Okay, we use that synonymously. But this is a measure, this is a measure, this is a measure, this is a measure. All right? So time, the amount of time that we're playing with here, that's happening in this basically this bar, this measure. Signature, another way of looking at that is formula. What is the time formula? All right? What is the time pattern? The pattern, the formula. That's basically it. Time signature has to do with what is the rhythmic formula of the song. Okay? So some rhythmic formulas, some time signatures are 4/4, also known as common time, 3/4, 6/8. These are a couple popular time signatures here in the States and in the West and throughout the world as well. But there's many different. There's 5/4, there's 5/8, 7/8, 11/16. If you want to get into some, prog rock or even throughout the world, they might play just, different types and different traditions, different time signatures, time formulas. Anyways, let's camp out here. Just stay with common time. All right, 4/4. Now, the way that we can look at this idea, all right, and I'm explaining what this first number means and this second number means, is let's say this space right here, which we said measure, or I'm just going to use the word bar because you can use them synonymously, okay? Let's say that this is like a grocery bag and I went grocery shopping, but you have absolutely no idea what I went grocery shopping for. And I come home with the bag and I say, I've got 4 in the bag. The first thing you probably respond with is, for what? And that, my friend, would be a great question. So we've got 4 in the bag. That's that first number. All right. But what do you have? You have 4 is the amount. That's the first number. But this is the what? Well, 4 happens, when you see that word, happens to stand for quarter notes. So now we're not talking about grocery shopping anymore. We're talking about music. You've got 4 quarter notes. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 quarter notes. Pow. So I have 4. That's the first number. These are the beats. Okay? And then I have what type of beats? 4. So if it's 3/4, guess what? There are 3 quarter notes within that category, within that measure, within that bar, within that category, that section of the song. So if the song is in 3 minutes, you can look at the whole song as in a time signature, or categories of the song, such as the measure can be in a time signature. So this measure within the 3-minute song could be in 4/4, but then this part of the song might be in 3/4. Okay? So this is just a way that we break up the song, or we have a formula of the song. And when we understand this, we can also use something such as counting, because everything is in time and we're using numbers, these numbers. So if I know this song is in 4/4, I can count and know that by the time when I get to the number 4, the pattern, that's a key word here, the pattern is over and it restarts. Okay? So let me erase this here and say that the whole song is in 4/4. And let me first say, before I get ready to say the next thing, is that just because it's in 4/4, obviously, doesn't mean that we only play boom, 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 boom. I can play anything within this measure. If it's in 4/4, it just has to take the time that it takes for four quarter notes. The time it takes to play 4 quarter notes. Now, if the tempo of the song, which is tempo, how fast or slow we're playing, right? If the tempo of the song, let's say, is here, that's the speed, that's the tempo. I can play dee da dop dop doom bop ba dop doom, and it takes up that, now starts over when I get to 4. Beady bop bop boom bop ba dop boom. Beady bop bop boom bop ba bop boom. Beady bop bop boom bop ba bop boom. Well, what I just sang there were not quarter notes. They weren't just 4 quarter notes. They weren't just bop 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 bop. There were many other notes. Dee da dop ba doom bop ba dop boom. Right? So it took the same amount of time it took to count 4 quarter notes, and that's basically what time signature is counting, or knowing, dictating the count, the space, the time it takes within a certain category, a measure in the part of a song or the whole song. It really has to do with, and here's a key word, patterns. All right? So if a song is going boom, tat, boom, tat, boom, tat, 1, 2, 3, boom, tat, boom, then that is taking 3 quarter notes. That rhythm that I've just played is in 3/4. Boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, cat, as opposed to boom, boom, tat, boom. So you notice the 4/4, I went back to 4/4, was a little longer, right? So it has to do with time, the amount of time that it takes for the pattern to start over, okay? Because that's what we're doing. We're manipulating time there, all right? So overall, back in summary, categories of the song, smaller parts such as a measure can be in a certain time signature, and the whole song can be within a time signature. When you have one measure, that is just a one measure rhythm, or one bar. But sometimes, I'm going to add this to our explanation here, time signatures, is different types of rhythms. Sometimes you'll have a pattern, and let's say the pattern changes here. Okay? Now it looks different and I have more notes, but guess what? two eighth notes equals the same amount. You could play two eighth notes in the same time you play one quarter note. So technically there's 1, 2, 3, and guess what? This equals a whole quarter note. So really this is still in 4/4. But the rhythm changed. If this pattern were to start over, right, and then I write the same thing here. Oh my goodness, bad penmanship. All right, look, there's a pattern happening here. And the pattern repeats itself after 2 bars. So that is a 2-bar rhythm. After every 2 bars, that pattern starts over. Now there could be variations within it. Like this one might be a little bit different, but we know that that's essentially what we're playing. We're just improvising or making variations. But it's a 2-bar pattern. That's what we mean by a 2-bar pattern. It could still be in the same time signature. It's still in 4/4, but it's a 2-bar, 2-measure, or 2-category pattern, rhythm, right? So that's just a very short explanation of time signature. Remember, the first number is the how many, and the second number is the what. What's in your grocery bag? You've got 4 what in your grocery bag? 4 apples, 4 quarter notes, and 4 stands for quarter notes. If it was 6, you've got what? How many? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But guess what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or you could, depending on how, where you count it, like in a waltz type feel or not. But you have 6 eighth notes. You got 6 notes. Oh yeah. There's 6 notes in this bar, this measure. But what kind of notes? How many? What are we counting? 8 stands for eighth notes. 4 stands for quarter notes. Boom. So that's just a short explanation of time signatures. And I think that this is important if you're not used to this or if you've never really dove into it in any complexity, because the next phase, what we're really going to get to, is learning to count and understand when you're playing a rhythm, to be able to count while you're playing and to be able to do it where you're still able to enjoy playing the song. Being able to count while you're playing the rhythm and know what you're doing will really be beneficial when it gets to learning new songs and learning new rhythms, especially when you're in unfamiliar territory, because then you can just count. If you don't know what's happening, instead of just feeling it. And what that means basically by feeling is kind of like a conversation. Let me say this and then we'll end this lesson. In a conversation with someone you have great chemistry with, you have lots of experience with, you've known each other for a long time, you've cultivated a relationship, you could almost know where they're getting ready to go in their conversation and what they're going to say. You can't technically read their mind, but you know what they're probably going to say. You can get really strong in your assumptions because you have experience with them. You've listened to them for many years. Music is a lot like that. If we spend a lot of time with certain types of styles, we can have a feeling of where it's going to go, okay? But we may not intentionally be, or it's in our subconscious. But when you now are actually reading that person's mind, or you're reading a script, you know exactly what's happening based on a theory. And the theory is, we wrote this script, and based on whatever the elements of that day, depending on how hot it is, depending on how well we practiced, we know in that script, by theory, if we both practice, we should know what we're going to say. That's what music theory is about. And really it's theory, okay? Meaning music came first, and then this is just a way to describe, all right, what we're writing. But what I'm saying here is, instead of just feeling it, instead of just assuming it, now I'm going to actually have a script. I'm going to have a formula, and I'm going to go by that formula. So if I don't really know where we're at, I'm not just going to feel it. I'm going to go, hey, I hear a pattern, and the pattern starts over at every 4 beats. I'm like, I can hear where the 1 is. I think that's the 1. Boom, he's playing a guitar. And I'm hearing that when he goes, the pattern starts over right there. And when I count, it starts over after 4. 4 what? 4 quarter notes that I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. The song's in 4/4. I tell you what, I'm just going to play a kick drum. I'm going to play whatever I play, but I'm going to play that snare on the 4th beat and that kick drum on 1. Boom. Got it. Got it. So I have no idea of the song, but I was able to count. And that gave me, now if I get lost and I don't know what to do, I'm just going to blank out. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm not going to pay as much attention. It's not as much fun, but at least I have a formula to go back on. And that helps in situations when you're in uncharted territory. It also helps not just in uncharted territory, but when you're playing with multiple people and we're all trying to play on the same accord. Sometimes skilled musicians do this subconsciously where we're counting. All right. But understanding time signatures is the foundation of starting to count, because if you don't know what you're counting, then you might be counting one thing and somebody else is counting another thing. All right. So this is just the beginning, just scratching the surface of this particular lesson. And we'll get more into this later. But in the next lesson, we'll talk about playing on the downbeats and playing on the upbeats. All right. God bless you. Heaven smile upon you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.